Thank you very much, Martin, for being here today with us at Moldova Security Forum, but also here at the Security Corner, where we would like to discuss a little bit more about security and resilience of Moldova, but also of the region. And looking a little bit from your expertise on hybrid threats, we would like to have a conversation and to discuss a little bit to understand your perspective and looking a little bit into the future, to have also a visionary approach on how we can ensure resilience. And my first question will be, looking at the hybrid threats, they often thrive in ambiguity and trying a little bit to blur the lines between what could be happening or not, trying to blur the lines and the threshold. So I would like to ask you, looking at the democracy and the way it works, do you think that we are able to ensure transparency and accountability in countering hybrid threats? Because very often that might pose a challenge.
I think that Moldova has done very well. I think that hybrid activity is mostly illegal activity. And I think that Moldova adopted an approach of very strong law enforcement and policing in the latest election. And I think this is really the way forward. Yeah,
that's a very good approach into looking forward, also into the way that state authorities reacted. But in terms of entering resilience, would you be able to share an example where deterrence was able to provide a solution to countering hybrid threats?
Well, if deterrence worked, we don't really know that it worked. But I think I think every time you have a drone assault or anything else going on in Europe, the response is always not only to address the issue and think about drone defense, etc., but also to add more resources to support Ukraine. And I think that this is a real response, and I think this is a response that is understood on the other side.
And I think in trying to counteract hybrid threats and trying to have a response, a proper response, it's necessary to have a whole of society approach. This is something that was also discussed during your panel where you participated as speaker. And I would like to ask you, what do you think is the role of civil society organizations, of journalists, but also of private companies in being able to ensure resilience in countering hybrid threats in Moldova, but also looking a little bit, maybe lessons learned for other countries?
Yeah, I think it's very important when we talk about the information space, because we don't necessarily want the government to be surveilling what people are saying, etc. And I think that's where you have a very important role for the media, as has happened in Moldova with several infiltrations of subversive kind of activities, but also civil society taking an active stance in campaigning, but even more importantly in doing the research and disclosing what's going on. It doesn't necessarily have to, of course, the government and the security apparatus has to monitor the information space, but it's important that this is also under public scrutiny and under public debate, so that everybody also can understand that it's going on. Because one thing I've learned with security services is that they are secretive, so they don't always share the information that they have.
And I think that was a good example in Moldova, where we had journalists that were able to infiltrate and to show exactly the way the hybrid threats and also the way it was orchestrated, and that to understand a little bit the scale of disinformation and the way that everything was organized. And I think this is also an example that Republic of Moldova can set for other states in terms of what are the lessons that we learned in countering hybrid threats. And I think European states and also NATO member states are able to learn the lessons from the Republic of Moldova.
Yeah, and international media, because some of the very good reporting came from international media disclosing engagement farms in Africa, etc. So it's really good that the international investigative journalism is really on top of things now.
So I think that's going to be one of the key solutions and recommendation for us to strengthen journalism and independent journalism, but also for other states, as we are seeing that democratic backsliding, unfortunately, is a trend right now, that it's happening all around the world. But I would like to, so one of the final questions that I will address to you is, looking that small states as the Republic of Moldova, they do face challenges in terms of hybrid threats. And I think they are the ones that are the most vulnerable, because you don't necessarily have strengthened institutions to respond to that. We are still building that, and we are in the process to do that. But what do you think it's one strategic investment the Republic of Moldova or states like Moldova should focus in order to ensure resilience?
Everything is about the cognitive space. It's what people actually believe. So if the government is not proactive in its communication, then the misinformation is going to be what people believe. And this is also, very importantly, it's about the past and about who we are. So actually the Ministry of Culture is one of the most important ministries, really looking at historical monuments, looking at the education system, what is being taught in school, etc. I think this is really where you can be proactive for real.
Thank you very much. And we really hope that the Minister of Culture and also other stakeholders will be able to look at this interview and also to understand what are the main lessons learned and the strategic investments that the country has to make. And thank you very much, Martin, for your time and for doing this interview. Thank you.
Thank you.